Assalamualaikum and hello everyone. My name is Ammar Hafiz bin Muhammad Asri. I'm currently studying in the final semester of Diploma in Computer Science. So, today I'm going to present about my project, which is the Budget Alerts mobile app. Before I continue the presentation, I would like to show everyone this news video in the early of this year. So, without further ado, let's watch it.
Dengan berbekalkan wang saku RM50 selain kereta Pro2 Viva yang dipinjamkan oleh abang iparnya serta sebuah bot getah, Azwan yang berasal dari Alur Gajah menjelajah ke beberapa negeri terjejas banjir dengan niat untuk membantu. Pekerja am di sebuah agensi kerajaan di Melaka ini bertekad meneruskan kerja amalnya jika keadaan mengizinkan.
So, as everyone noticed, every year the monsoon season will come around November until March in Peninsular Malaysia. And of course, there's a lot of people will affected because of this disaster. Therefore, we cannot leave them behind and leave them without any help. For the solution, I would like to introduce the Budget Alerts mobile app to help the flood victims who are affected during the monsoon season. And in the same time, it also may help the rescuer to find the flood victims. So, as stated in the slides, there is 3 problem statements in this project. The first one is the government help is limited to help the flood victims, and sometimes the government rescuer are late because of some political issue. Next, the flood victims are lack of communication during flood occur. The rescue mission are limited due to the lack of communication. And the last one is lack of time. The flood victims do not have enough time to react and respond accordingly. As a result, the objective of this app is to help the rescuer to find the flood victims. Alternatively, this app also to ease the flood victims to get help from people during the flood. And lastly, to help the flood victims to be prepared before, during and after the flood. Also, I have do literature review for some previous app, which is the My Public Info Banjir, Golden Volunteering app, and Climate Forecast app. I have combined and improved these 3 apps and with a certain feature that I like. For example, like water level indicator, flood alerts, volunteering event, donation and the forecast. So the next one is the methodology. The methodology that I use in this project is an agile methodology. For the first phase, I have collected for some requirement from the user through the Google form. And the next one is the planning phase. The planning phase allows me to acquire the general idea of the budget alerts that I will work on. I have discussed the project in detail with my supervisor during this phase. And the next one is the design phase. This section is critical since it requires me to inquire about the user's color preferences for the interface, layout and other factors. I must ensure that this application designs provide the positive user experience. And the next one is the development phase. Coding is carried out to create the usable application for the user. To generate a complete code, every piece of information that has been collected and designed has been set to be used. Then for this phase, unit testing is performed to ensure that the application developed in line with the specification established based on the user's need. After that, in the release phase, this application will be launched and the user can download the application. In this phase also, the application will be tested by the user and the user will review the application through the Budget Alerts demo video, and also they can download it in the Telegram channel that I have created and I established there. User can find any problem and report them through the survey that I have distributed to them via Google Form, and I use the survey to the track and monitor phase, which is resolving the problem. The user who use the Budget Alerts app notice any fault or any error may report the bug through the Google Form that I have mentioned before. And after that, I will continue to repair the bugs and other issue on the app. Until the user is satisfied, I will ensure that the application is operating in the appropriate environment. So, for the future work, I will update the Budget Alerts project due to in terms of the security, because the data security and privacy should be more secure for both users, especially in the donation information from any fraud or any hacker. And the next one is the Budget Alerts should be available in iOS, so the user can download the Budget Alerts on iOS device. So the next one is the Budget Alerts will be available in Bahasa Malaysia language, so the user can be more understand about this app and they can understand how to use this app also. And the last one is Web 3.0 concept. The users can donate to the flood victims globally through online banking, FPX, or maybe cryptocurrency, and in case of the national economy is unstable due to the flood occur. That's all for presentation, and I will proceed with the demonstration of Budget Alerts app. Thank you.
In this video, I will demonstrate this app on how the Banjir Alert app may help people during flood season. Without further ado, let's get started. This interface will appear as you start up the app, which is the welcome page. There is two types of user right here, which is flood victims and rescuer. This app can be helpful for people who live in a flooded area like Kelantan, Terengganu, and Pahang. They can create an account and request help from any volunteer that wants to help. On the other hand, Banjir Alert was also developed for the citizen of Malaysia who wanted to volunteer themselves to help the flood victims during flood season. Just like Brother Viva did recently. At the end of the slide, there is a button right there and click it. After that, you have two choices here: either you are the flood victim, or you are the hero on this app, which is the rescuer. I will demonstrate for both of them so you can understand how the algorithm of this app works. So if you are a flood victim, click on Flood Victims. If you are a rescuer, then click on Rescuer. Just in case you clicked on the wrong button, there's a back button on the top of the screen. Both users have to sign up for their account first before logging into the app. They also have to register their account with a username, email, and password. I will demonstrate Akeem Zul as the flood victims here, and Daniel as the rescuer. The password must be at least 6 characters. After user clicks submit, they have to log in the account that has been created just now. After login, this is the interface of flood victims and the volunteer homepage. There is a list of flood victims that need help during the flood. And there is a bottom navigation bar down there for the user to navigate to other pages. To request help from a rescuer, flood victims have to click on Add button right here and fill up the form provided. The difference between volunteer and victim is: the flood victims can create, edit, and delete their information, and the volunteer only can view the information provided by the flood victims. The rescuers can find any flood victims that they want to help by clicking the view button on the name. They also can see the address if they want to go help them at the location. The rescuer also have to contact the flood victims first via phone number and the donation details if he want to donate the flood victims. The rescuer also may provide a temporary shelter for flood victims in the Provide Shelter page. To provide a temporary shelter, he can simply click on the Add button and fill up the shelter details. Back to the flood victims page, if the flood victims need to request help, they can click on the Add button down there. Flood victims have to fill in their name, address, phone number, and so on. For example here, Akeem Zul is the flood victims. He have to enter his full name, which Akeem Zul bin Ahmad, address 39, Jalan Merku 25 thirds, Taman Sri Muda 40400 Shah Alam, Selangor. Phone number 01514521145. And the status is unrescued yet. Akeem Zul also have to provide his damaged house picture to upload in the Banjir Alert form. For the link address, he can copy from a navigation app such as Google Maps and Waze. He also can message the volunteer for what kind of help he want. For example, I'm looking for any volunteers who are free on March 20th to help me clean up my house that was damaged due to flooding recently in Taman Sri Muda. Next, Akeem Zul also have to set the time and date when he wanted the help. Lastly, if Akeem Zul need donation, if he lack of money due to the disaster, he can put his bank account number and the bank type. After clicking the submit button, all the information given will store in the Firebase database, and it also will appear on the volunteer page. If the user has some error, like he got typing error, or needs to update the information such as he has been rescued, they can edit the info by sliding their name. For example, Akeem Zul has been rescued by the rescuer, he can change it by sliding to the edit icon and changing the status to rescued. After that, click the submit button, the information will be updated in the database. If the flood victims need temporary shelter, they can explore and find shelter page and contact the provider of the shelter. For example, Akeem Zul and his family need temporary shelter during flood season, he can contact Syed Samad, the shelter provider. I also provide the forecast from windy.com to both the volunteer and victims page to see the weather for the next day. If there is any rain or storm, therefore they can prepare if flood could occur again. Water level page is an indicator for every state water level warning from Public Info Banjir. After that, I also provide the flood news page for users to read the latest news about floods inside the app. Furthermore, the side navigation contains the same content for both users, which is About Us, FAQ, Flood Tips, and Flood Camera. About Us is just about this app like I have explained earlier. FAQ is frequently asked question from the user, for example how to request help, and the answer is provided there. Last but not least, the Flood Camera is real-time footage on the main street in Kuala Lumpur for users can monitor whether the road is flooding or not to avoid flash floods in the city like happened recently in KLCC. That's all from me, thank for watching this video.